Hell House 3 Lake of Fire. The trilogy is complete. We're going to talk about it right here in Horror and Coffee. Stick around. Hello everyone, I'm your host Ralph Perez. If you like what you see on this channel, please tap on that bell for future notifications and consider subscribing. Alright, your subscriptions are awesome. You're awesome. I like to think that everybody's awesome. I think this has been a very challenging year. Thank you for hanging in there. God knows it's been not easy for me and my family in this crazy COVID time, but we're pressing forward. Okay, so in the last couple of videos, I did Hell House. Then I did Hell House 2. So I decided, you know what, let's finish this. So I went in and I checked out Hell House 3, Lake of Fire. Wow! I never did a trilogy like this of films before. Like, I've done individual movies that are part of trilogies or even larger franchises, but I've never really done, like, chronologically, consecutively, 1, 2, and 3 in 3 videos, 3 weeks in a row, or 2 weeks in a row. So I thought, I think this is kind of cool. I like, I wanted to be consistent with this because since I did the last couple of reviews, I wanted to make sure that I will, make this complete. So if you haven't seen my reviews of Hell House 1, I'll put the link here as well as below if you want to check it out later. If you saw that one and haven't seen Hell House 2, I'll put the link here. Put it below. Okay, Hell House 3 takes place 9 years after the events of the first film, 1 year after the events of the second film. Apparently, they were trying to see if they could demolish the house, but then as right before they was able to do that, a man named, a very wealthy gentleman named Russell Wynn buys the whole property in order to finish his show that he was doing in the city, in New York, called Insomnia, right? So he hires a cast and a crew to put together this show in the old Abaddon Hotel, where these terrible things happened. Okay, first it was run by a cult by a guy named Andrew Tully, and then apparently he was able to open a portal to something, right? Something bad, something dark, okay, and something demonic, really, in essence. It's one of these demonic films. And when we saw the events of the last two movies, of the last two films take place, if you saw it, that there's some kind of a portal that was opened up. At first, I was looking at this guy and I was like, what's up with the scar? What's up with the scar? And later they explained how we got the scar. I actually ended up liking this movie. At first I didn't, and then I kind of let it sit in me for a bit, and I said, you know what? Yeah, this movie was good. First of all, the movie, all 3 films, was directed by Stephen Cognetti. This is his baby. This is his story. So I do admire his work in these 3 horror films. They had a consistent flow in plot and storyline. Nothing really deviated from anything that made people go, what? That didn't happen here. As a matter of fact, he might have overdone it a little bit in this film with a lot of flashbacks and footage from the last 2 previous films. I thought that it was a little bit too much. It's okay to do it a little bit, but I understood why he must have done it, so that people can go, oh yeah, I remember that, which works, right? But it I don't know, in that part at least, it might have been a little bit too much. Well, anyway, the story goes like this. Like I said, Russell Wynn buys the Abaddon Hotel in order to create his Insomnia show. And, it's supposed to be a public viewing of the show and inviting people in, right, on a particular day. So they spend an entire month inside the Abaddon Hotel, putting it together, making things work. The plot seems to be some kind of a thing involving a conversation between God and the devil, ironically speaking, right? Where there's a part that's hellish and there's a part that's heavenly. and they're in there, and they're supposed to be, and you see the setups, right? So you think this works, right? And everything is fine for a while. They're saying, "Oh, nothing's happened. Nothing's happened. There's nothing here. Come on. Oh, that's fake. Oh, that's phony." Even though they ignore the fact that people died there 9 years prior, that people have vanished just walking into the thing. There's so many things that have happened, and pounds and pounds of video footage. Right? Forget about all that. Let's just go into the house. So that just goes against all kinds of logic. What I enjoyed, actually, was the fact that this guy, Russell Wynn, initially you'd think he's some kind of I don't know. This is a little bit of spoiler here, if you haven't seen this movie. He has a motive. It turns out he has a reason why he picked the house, and it does have to do with what happened there, right? He doesn't say it outright, but eventually, as you watch the film, it becomes clear what his motive is. And we can kind of decide whether or not this guy, Russell Wynn, is an antagonist or protagonist in this film. And I like to leave that open for you to decide when you see this film. Because when you see it, it's kind of like, oh, he's a bad guy. Oh, wait, he's a good guy. You're not sure initially, right? But then it eventually works itself out. If I was to rate which of these three films in this trilogy, in the Hell House trilogy, is the scariest, I'll have to go with the second one, Hell House 2, The Abandoned Hotel, because that one made me jump. That one really put the fear of God in me. That was good. There was some well-played parts in there that made me go, oh yeah, scary, scary stuff. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. But that doesn't take away from this third film. I think what this guy decided to do, Stephen Cognetti, is that I think he wanted to wrap this series up and put closure. So he did something to it. However, there is something in this story that I didn't know in the other two films that might open up a possibility of another thing, which may not be, which I don't think will be the Abandoned Hotel, but nearby area where there was a terrible thing that happened in a haunted hayride. Ooh, so they mention it, but they don't really get into it. So I'm thinking, okay, I think they're dropping a seed there for something to grow for maybe a later production. Who knows? But I kind of like the idea that this film ends the way it does. I actually liked how it ended. I felt that it had a bit of a closure to it. Not a real closure, but a closure that made me go, I see what's happened here, and I get it. And I thought it was kind of cool, in more than one way. This definitely was a series of 3 films where the director is now at this point saying that it's time for us to move on in more ways than one. A word to the wise. Just check out the movie. You'll see what I mean. I was going to give this film 2 coffee cups, but I'm not going to do that. Initially I was like, I think I was measuring it based on the scares I felt in the second film. But in truth, the plot was very solid, and it was filmed in a documentary style. It wasn't, yeah, sure, there were cameras moving around. It was like this found footage kind of thing, but it was more controlled. It wasn't some guy just walking around with a camera. Yeah, it was, but it was a documentary thing. There was a woman there with a camera guy who was kind of documenting them putting together the whole thing. That fed into the actual making of this documentary. We was kind of pretty much watching a documentary, which I thought was pretty amazing. I liked how it was put together in that format. I don't know if that's something that will continue like that in future films of other types in regards to horror especially, but I thought that it had a good meaning there. Okay, so I'm gonna give, and I have my Red Boost coffee cup because that's what, I have my horror one here. I'm gonna give Hell House 3 coffee cups. All 3 films get 3 coffee cups, a trifecta of caffeine. I thought it was such a very Good film, unique ending, unique plot, and hopefully this guy Stephen Cognetti moves on to make other films of similar stories regarding other places. And again, this last film alludes to the possibility of that happening, but as far as I can tell, it's definitely the end of the abandoned hotel. And I think, for all intensive purposes, as far as that particular place is concerned, it's over. It really is. Lake of Fire, it's called. Another Book of Revelation reference, of course. I mentioned this for the second film, with the word Abaddon. I don't even know how to pronounce the damn thing. Lake of Fire, yeah, that's in the Book of Revelation as well. That's supposed to be hell. So I might as well have said hell. Well, it does say hell. Never mind. Hell House 3, Lake of Fire. What are your thoughts about it? Talk to me. Comment below and share with me your ideas about this film, and should they continue making more? If not particularly that house, maybe this guy Stephen Cognetti, he can start to make other stories that might be loosely related to the abandoned hotel, but maybe not. Let's see what happens. Okay, I'm really tired. Rough morning. Ralph Perez, Horror and Coffee. Make sure you subscribe. Let's keep that algorithm going. And take care. Until next time.